Boom, baby. We got the boomachino. We got the hockey shirt. Fucking love with the stick, the puck. You know the deal. But yeah, UFC 252's in the books. And, you know, sad to see DC go out like that, to not be able to go out on top. But I thought he did, pretty well. You could see he slowed down a little bit on the cage when his back was against the cage. He kind of got content and stayed there a little bit. But he did land that inside clinch, hook again, where he kind of holds onto Stipe's head and then like lets go and hits that right hook. You saw that a little bit. Stipe looked in phenomenal shape. He definitely brought a good game plan in. I did like how DC was using those low kicks to try to slow Stipe's movement down, but he just didn't enforce the wrestling as much as I thought he would. I thought he was going to be on the legs a lot more, making Stipe fend off takedowns, but he really wasn't. He kind of just accepted the striking exchanges and he went with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. DC's a finisher at heavyweight. He has, big power, and he's knocked out Stipe before, so I think he thought he could do it again, and he wanted to go out on top like that and just, lost the decision. I thought it was either 2-2 or 3-1. It was kind of hard to say. The rounds were somewhat close. Um, you could just see Stipe kind of like take off and kind of edge out a little bit. He had DC hurt. There was eye pokes in the fight. Unfortunately, there was a couple of pokes. One for each. Eye poke fucking karma, huh? Yeah. You never want to see that in a fight. I think DC had like a torn cornea or something like that. That's unfortunate. Hopefully he heals up from that and he's good to go. And he's healthy and as he could see correct and doesn't have to deal with any issues like that in the future, like Bisping. Um, Stipe, was utilizing his jab really well. I thought he had a good octagon control. He was kind of had DC on his back foot more than usual. Usually DC's walking forward the whole time, and I think Stipe had a good range and was able to stay centered in the middle of the cage for the most part. Um, we don't really see Stipe throw kicks, huh? I realized that like he doesn't ever really throw kicks. He might have thrown like one in the fight. DC was throwing more leg kicks than usual, and they were hitting low on the calf, which is something that's been popular as of late, and I think that was something he was going to keep on going back to, but he didn't really do, he didn't really go back to it as the later rounds came in. Um, Both of them were hurt in the fight, though. Both of them connected well, had each other wobbled. I think Stipe might have hurt him twice. Um, but yeah, he just landed the better shots. He was there in control for more time in the fight. But yeah, I mean, you got to imagine DC's probably retired. It sucks to have to go out on a loss like that. I know he's a competitor. It's going to be hard to stay away. You never know, what's going to happen if he comes back to fight Stipe a fourth time. Like, does anybody even want that? I don't know, but like I could see him wanting to come back to try to get that belt and go out on top. It's just so hard, to go out on a loss, for a competitor like DC. It's just a tough thing. I'm curious to see how it plays out in the future. Are they going to look to do Ngannou versus Stipe for a rematch? Is John Jones going to come out of the woodworks and take, whatever money he feels he's worth to fight Stipe for the title? Because you know that they'll look to go that route as well, if that's a possibility. But they're going to play hardball with Jones for the money, and it's going to be hard to come to a deal when it comes to that because Jones wants that big money, and in order to make him go to heavyweight and fight Stipe and risk it, he's going to want a bigger paycheck than to fight the guys in his weight class right now. I don't know, but we'll see which route they go. It seems like Dana White said Ngannou's next, so they might go that way. I wouldn't be mad at that. I think Ngannou's a different creature right now. I know Stipe kind of shut him down in that first fight, but I could see Ngannou coming back and knocking Stipe out in this next fight. To be honest, co-main event. Chito Vera shuts down the hype train, the Sugar Show. this fight's tricky because you don't want to take anything away from Vera, and I think people are kind of like instantly going to the, oh, it's unfortunate, O'Malley hurt his foot and he fell and that's the only reason he lost. And and then they go back and they look at the tape, and Chito landed a couple leg kicks to that nerve area, and maybe that was a big reason why O'Malley was hurt. But there's always these open-ended excuses when things like this happen, where you know people don't want to kind of give Chito the credit, and it's like, oh, it's unfortunate O'Malley lost because of this. That's the only reason he lost. What would have happened if his foot wasn't hurt and he didn't wobble and fall and this and that, and Herb Dean stepped in and it was too soon, and there's always controversy, and it's like when that happens, that always helps the guy that has the hype behind him, that is undefeated, that needs people to feel pity for him for losing, and to not have to take that fall the way that most people do when you lose a fight. It's just you lost, and you got to face the music. And I'm curious to see if O'Malley's humbled honestly by this. I don't know if he will be. The way that guy's attitude is, his coach Tim Welsh is somewhere out there busy sucking his dick for the rest of eternity, no matter what happens. Maybe he'll finally take a breath and face the music and be honest with himself. Maybe he's just a fragile guy. Maybe he just gets hurt easy. Maybe he was hurt going into the fight, but so were a lot of us. Maybe Chito was hurt going into the fight, but he just didn't fall down, and he was able to implement his game and win the fight. I thought the fight started out pretty good. Usually we see O'Malley come out a lot stronger. He didn't. It was more calculation on his part than usual. I think Chito did a good job at staying patient and slowly moving in and getting closer and trying to close the distance a little bit on O'Malley. But I wonder what that was about, because usually O'Malley comes out and throws a lot of flashy, high volume kicks and spinning shit and stuff like that, and I think maybe he was just in a little bit more respect for Chito as an opponent than usual guys that he's faced, and it seemed like he was started a little bit slower than he would usually do, and that played a role. Chito was kind of moving forward slow. They both exchanged leg kicks. I mean, O'Malley landed 2 solid leg kicks early on, calf kicks, and Chito's legs kind of gave out, but he stayed strong and he stayed moving forward and calculated, and O'Malley started stumbling on his foot, and you got to wonder, was it the Chandler thing, the same thing with the nerve where their ankle rolls and you can't control the ankle strength and stuff like that. They took O'Malley on a stretcher, all the drama, theatrics, and, we haven't heard what the injury is or what actually happened or what he's facing, how much time away. But, this helps him because he's not going to be written off. You know what I mean? He's still going to be like, oh, O'Malley only lost because of that unfortunate circumstance, so let's see what happens when he comes back and this and that. And I understand that's what's going to happen. But you got to give Marlon Vera the credit for winning that fight, for potentially causing that damage with leg kicks. I just don't like when people are so cocky and conceited and they believe they're invincible and then they lose, and it's like, they don't have to face the music and take the loss on and just be like, well, I lost, like I got beat. Like, there's always some asterisk and some bullshit controversy going in when it comes to these superstar in the makings. The thing about Conor McGregor was, what I respect is that he always delivered. Like when he had to face Chad Mendes and everyone's like, oh my God, he's facing the wrestler, let's see what happens. Like, he delivered. He got taken down a bunch. He withstood that and he got up and he finished the fight. And, that said a lot about Conor. Like, hey, like, don't count me out. Don't believe that it's all hype now. Like, this is the real shit. Like, I'm going to be, he became a 2-time world champion. You can't really say much about that. Yeah, the way they brought him up, who they matched him up against, the Dennis Sievers, the different matchups he got to get there. Yeah, they wanted him to win. They gave him some favorable matchups, but at the same time, Conor always delivered all the way up into the top, fighting guys like Eddie Alvarez, who's a fucking dog, taking him out by KO. Fighting guys like Khabib, and finally he lost to Khabib, and so does everybody. So that wasn't really the biggest deal, but how you face defeat is a huge thing in my opinion. Like how you react to defeat, how you come back, and how you perform. And we've seen that with Conor. How he dealt with Khabib and then came back and fought Cowboy and took him out. At least you see the guy come back and perform and take somebody out, and that's what I look for, and that's what I respect in a guy who is built up to be this superhero, this crazy superstar, and then they have to face defeat, and then they have to respond. So we're gonna see what O'Malley's made out of now. How he responds to this, who he comes back and fights, how he reacts in the media. I can't imagine the guy's gonna be humble, but we'll see. Maybe he'll change his tone a little bit. Maybe his coach Tim Welsh will kind of slow his roll a little bit, on the fact that O'Malley's gonna just knock every single person out that he faces, and there's no other way about it. So I understand the confidence. You got to believe in your fighter, but you could just tell with those two there was a sense of like almost like there's no way that O'Malley can get touched. And when I see that, I'm kind of like, well, one way or another, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to come around and give you a test. Like, they're going to fucking test you. They're going to hurt you. They're going to take you down. They're going to make you work. And you're going to be exposed in some way or another. And I was just kind of like curious how it will look when that happens and how they will respond. And I just want to see what goes down now. How are they going to match up O'Malley next? Are they going to give him some kind of, Eddie Wineland again, or some kind of, favorable striking matchup? I don't know. We're going to see. But props to Marlon Vera for winning that fight. I think that does big things for his career. The guy's on, what, a 6-fight win streak? Never mind the Song Yadong fight, who everyone thought he won. So you can say 7 if you really wanted to. The guy's moving up top 10. I'm sure he's going to get a huge name next. Maybe they do the Merab versus Chito. I know Merab's been calling out O'Malley, but, usually they do winners versus winners. So maybe they do Merab versus Chito. And maybe they give me O'Malley. Fuck it, right? I mean, why not? And then that's a good matchup. I'm not a guy who's just going to wrestle. I like to strike. I like to wrestle. I like to jiu-jitsu. I like to MMA. Because that's the sport. So, I don't know. We're going to see what's going to happen with that. But, other notable wins, we got to talk about, Jardoba, a beautiful submission over Felice Herrig. That was awesome. And then we had Kai Kamaka, that fight of the night. That was a sick fight. Both of those guys scrapped. I only caught the highlights on that, but that was amazing stuff. They got the fight of the night bonus. Always nice to see a debut guy get the bonus like that. Jim Miller unfortunately loses to Vince Pichel after coming back and having a good win over Roosevelt Roberts, a hot prospect. Pichel's a strong guy, man. Was able to kind of outmuscle Miller, tire him out, and kind of just outposition him on the ground and win the points. And I think Miller had trouble with that size and strength of Vince Pichel from hell. But my fight coming up, Ricky Simon, September 5th. I can't wait. It's gonna be exciting. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think a lot of fans are. I think the stylistic matchup is great for the fans. And I think this has bonus money written all over it. I'm coming for performance of the night. Fuck all that fight of the night shit. It might happen because we're both savages and we're both tough, hard to finish. So you never know. It could happen, but I always go for the finish anyways. And I have a lot of finishes on my record, so I'm going to look for that. And if I can put a guy like Ricky Simon away, I think that says a lot, especially with his last performances against, Ray Borg. And then Rob Font, he had a good fight. And, he finished, he beat Merab. I didn't really think he did, but yeah, it is what it is. Nonetheless, good opponent. We're going to get in there and get after it. I can't wait. What else? What else was a big highlight of 252? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think DC's really retired? Do you think O'Malley, what do you think of the O'Malley fight? What do you think of the stoppage, by the way, the Herb Dean stoppage? I mean, it sucks because with the camera angles, we couldn't really see exactly the expressions of O'Malley where his eyes rolled back in his head. I mean, that elbow landed flush. I mean, that was a nasty elbow, a couple of big shots. But O'Malley was kind of like still there. I think he was more or less more concerned with his foot than he was the ground and pound. But I think Herb Dean was kind of taking that into consideration. Like, listen, this guy's already hurt. We don't want to make him stand back up and get embarrassed. He's young. Let's fucking conserve him. Let's save him. He's the golden pony. So I think Herb Dean was kind of thinking along those lines. I don't know, though. I didn't see that elbow, what that elbow's effect was. It didn't seem like he went like fully limp or anything like that. He still kind of was like moving. So I don't know. Well, let me know what you guys think about the stoppage, about what O'Malley's going to be like after facing this loss, who he might fight next. What do you think about DC and Stipe? Who do you think won the fight? I mean, some people thought it was 2-2 going into the fifth. I thought Stipe clearly stole the fifth, though. I thought he won 3-2 at least, maybe even 4-1. I'm not sure. The rounds were somewhat close. And we'll, what do you think? Will DC try to come back? Will they try to do John Jones and Stipe next? I don't know. There's a lot going on. You got Ngannou. You got a lot of things happening at heavyweight. Let me know in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up, please. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the fans and you guys tuning in. We'll be back to preview the next one coming up. Frankie Edgar versus Munoz, baby. It's all about this. Boom.